Hello, Charles. Good morning.
Morning, Dan. How we doing?
I'm great.
What's on tap for your Friday? Woo, that was close.
Friday. I'm gonna finally get back into the gym and gonna pack for a little trip for the weekend. It's my dad's girlfriend's 75th birthday on
Well, that's a big one.
Sunday, and so we're surprising her with a dinner on Saturday. So I'm flying up and pretty excited about that. The family's going to be there, and a few people that she hasn't seen in many years, and she has no idea. And the best part is she hates surprises, so it should be.
I was going to say, at what point does a surprise party become a health risk for somebody? You know, I think if 75 is not the number, I gotta think it's getting close.
So did you finish Curb Your Enthusiasm?
No, I haven't.
Okay, because that's actually one of the episodes in Curb Your Enthusiasm is related to his buddy Jeff, who's got some heart issues, and Larry comes to find out that his wife Susie, who has like a love-hate relationship with Jeff, is planning a surprise party for him. And,
okay.
And Larry gets in his head that she's doing it because she wants to kill him, because he finds her like booking a trip to the Caribbean. He's like, Jeff hates the Caribbean. Why would she be booking a trip to the Caribbean by herself? You know, and he's like, she's trying to get rid of him. And so Larry does everything in his power to try to let Jeff know about the surprise party without telling him, because Susie was going to kill Larry if he said anything to him. Yeah. And so Larry ends up like inviting Jeff's cardiologist to the event because he's concerned. He wants, it was great. It was a great episode. Yeah. How are you?
Yeah, I follow a Seinfeld meme account that does callbacks to a lot of the funnier episodes, and they really had something special, Larry David and Jerry Seinfeld, when they created Seinfeld. And I mean, from what I could tell, Curb Your Enthusiasm, too. Like a lot of the stuff they come up with, it's very funny.
Yeah, and that's one of the few shows I can watch over and over and over again. And all these episodes, I love them every time. And one of the things that I picked up on rewatching it again recently, was that how many similar type of episodes were actually in Seinfeld. But Curb does a slight little twist on it with slightly different characters, but it keeps it fresh and it's fantastic. So I highly recommend, if you don't need to be watching anything else, watch some Curb, and you'll see some of the parallels and some of the transitions, and the season where they brought back the cast of Seinfeld. It was the best.
I've heard good things
reunion.
About that.
So that was like or the reunion show, and they did it better than any other reunion I've ever seen, because it's just the way they did it. They did it was about their real lives. And it was multiple scenes, and then they even, did a fake or pretended to do a reunion of Seinfeld in Curb. Yeah. And so you got to see the behind the scenes and how the sausage was made. It was so brilliantly done. I mean, I have a lot more respect for Larry David and his mind after seeing that.
Yeah, it's I know when they were promoting that episode, they were like, if you're one of the people that's been saying you want a Seinfeld reunion, this is going to be it. So you better watch it, because we're not going to do a real one. We're only doing this one.
Yeah, but just so you know, it wasn't one episode, right? It was almost a whole season. It was almost a whole season of them talking about and doing a Seinfeld reunion show. And so you've got different scenes with, Julia Louis-Dreyfus and Jerry and Elaine and all of the characters in their real life and stuff. So it's not just isolated one. And that's why I thought it was so brilliant. It was so natural the way they did it and they put it together, and also hysterical. It was, they addressed Kramer and his issue when he screamed out, when he lost control at a comedy club. They addressed that, they addressed the fact that, the guy who played George Costanza, oh my God, I can't remember his name, but
Jason Alexander.
He couldn't get any work other than everybody thinks he is George, which is actually, but he's actually Larry, and they talk, and Jason Alexander was complaining how he can't get any work because they keep expecting George. So it was the stuff that, was real for them. And then they made it, hysterical. Is the best way.
I guess, Julia Louis-Dreyfus is really the only one that has moved on to have other huge iconic roles after Seinfeld. I mean, Jerry, obviously, Jerry was Jerry in the show, and Jerry's always going to be Jerry. I cannot imagine trying to watch Jerry play somebody other than Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
it's totally right.
I'm a plumber named Steve. Like, I could never see Jerry Seinfeld pulling that off in some other TV or movie.
Right. And same thing with Michael Richards. That's kind of really tough, thing for him to do anything else. Jason Alexander's done a few things here and there, but it was never huge the way Julia Louis-Dreyfus was able to do it, for sure.
Yeah. She was amazing in Veep. I love that show. She's very funny.
Yeah, I mean, I liked her in the other. Was it the other Christine? Was that what that was? I think
the new Adventures of Old Christine. New Adventures of
Old Christine. That's right. Yeah, with Wanda Sykes. And so that was and Wanda was also in Curb for a few episodes.
Yeah. I only saw 1 or 2 episodes of that, but Veep was the one that really did it for me. She was so funny. I just love the idea of a politician who has so much contempt for both the system and the people she's supposed to be representing or serving. And because I suspect they're all like that, except not as funny or clever or good looking, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, there was a little bit of that with Parks and Rec, right? With, Gary Offerman. Is that, oh God, I can't remember.
No, Nick Offerman.
Nick Offerman. Yeah. We got a little taste of that there. I loved his character.
Yeah, I shared a little clip from YouTube the other day to our little meme group that we have with Kurt and Richard, where he was doing the employee picnic, and he was gonna slaughter a pig for the employee picnic.
Okay.
And cop was like, you can't do that. There's a bunch of laws. You can't just slaughter a pig here. He's like, don't worry, I have a permit. And he hands him a piece of paper, and the paper just says, I can do what I want.
It's a get out of jail free card. I love it.
Yeah. Let's see. So what else is going on? Today I'm going to donate blood. I'm going to do that this afternoon.
Nice.
Because there's a blood drive going where my girl and I are both going to donate blood, because we each get a free ticket to Hollow Scream at SeaWorld for donating blood right now.
Oh, very cool.
Yes. So we're gonna.
And is this the first year they're doing Hollow Scream? I haven't heard about this before. Is this?
I don't know. I think SeaWorld has had a Halloween thing every year. But I've never been to Busch Gardens Halloween thing, and I've never been to SeaWorld's Halloween thing. So I don't know exactly what to expect, but I'm looking forward to the free ticket. And I will probably go on a weeknight, because I like lower crowds and less people, and I like that I believe on the weeknights it probably ends earlier than it does on the weekend, so I'm on board with that too. Mm-hmm. So we get that. And then I love donating blood, because makes you feel good, and you get some cool merch for it. I think there's a T-shirt that they're handing out this year too.
Oh, you just like it for the cookies.
The grandma or whatever peanut butter cookies and the bottle of apple juice. I'm not going to turn either of those down. I got to tell you,
I love it.
And also, since I'm on testosterone replacement therapy, they encourage you to donate blood if you can, because it helps keep it thinned out. Every 8 weeks or whatever that you.
Stop!
You
it's just for the cookies. It's just for the cookies. Don't try to deny.
It's not just for the cookies. Again, it's also for the apple juice and the free T-shirt and the free ticket to SeaWorld. There's a lot of reasons, but I also do like the part where they send you an email that says your blood donation went to this hospital and is helping somebody out. So
nice.
Yeah, usually within a few days they send you a little email to tell you where it's going to be of use. So I like that.
That's
part
great.
Too.
I've never donated blood, so I didn't know you got all that that level of detail. That's fantastic. Glad you know where your donation's going.
I like that part too. I find that's a good incentive to keep donating every 8 weeks I get eligible. And they also give you achievement awards for however many gallons or whatever you donate. I think the first one is at 5 gallons, which that takes a good length of time before you build up 5 gallons. Cause I think they only take a cup or a pint every time you donate. So you gotta go for a while before you get up to 5 gallons.
Yeah. That's a lot. I mean, think about it. It's like 5 milk jugs, that's not nothing.
That's a lot of blood. Yeah, if you did it all at one time, I don't think you would survive. But you just got to do it a little bit at a time. Just take all 5 now. I want my award. And then
I'm an overachiever.
Exactly.
Damn gamification got roped right in.
Then tomorrow I'm going to watch a dance competition over at Nanette's new place in East Orlando.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, let me know how
my
that goes.
dance coach Victoria is going to be competing, so she invited me to go and watch her. So I'm looking forward to that.
Excellent.
Sunday, I'm toying with the idea of making a trip down to Riviera Beach to do a little bit of snorkeling before the season's over. Before the water temperature gets a little too cold for my tastes.
Yeah.
It's already going to be a little on the chilly side for what I like going in the middle of summer peak temperatures where it feels like bath water. Right. But I can handle anything in the 80s pretty easily. It's still fairly comfortable if it's above 80. Mm-hmm. So might go down, might either do a Disney day on Sunday or a Riviera Beach trip. I haven't decided 100% which way we're going to go. So yeah, then next weekend I'll be in New York City. So I'm really, really excited about that. The temperatures, they keep revising the forecast down, which I'm a big fan of cool weather when I do my little vacations. So I'm looking forward to spending the weekend in New York and hopefully having some good cold weather. Yeah,
definitely be able to use some of your fancy clothes you purchased for.
It is hard
cold
to dress.
Weather.
It's hard to dress cute in hot weather because you can't. Layering is a big part of looking good. Yeah, and in most of Florida weather, the best you can do is a tank top or a V-neck and a pair of shorts.
Yeah,
so. Because I am not willing. Like when we went to your birthday dinner the other night, I was wearing a linen shirt and linen pants because when the temperature starts with an 8 or a 9, it is hard to get me to put a suit on.
Yeah, it really is. I know what you're talking about.
It's miserable, but next Saturday when we're in New York, it's looking like 65-degree high and 45-degree low, which is perfect for T-shirt, jeans, and a cute jacket.
Mm-hmm. There you go. You got the outfit picked out already. Fantastic.
Absolutely. All right, so let's talk about penises.
Sweet. Whose penises are we talking about?
We're talking about just the abstract concept of a penis, nobody's penis specifically. And to give our listeners a bit of a heads up, so we're going to discuss erectile dysfunction in this episode, and we're going to endeavor to do so in a serious and scientific manner. Not too serious, but mostly serious. Mm-hmm. And we will avoid any slang terms that you might find objectionable. And so whether you want to listen to this one with your kids or not, that's up to you. I mean, if you're listening to any of our episodes with your kids, you should probably have them taken away by the state. But we will attempt to be professional and somewhat serious and compassionate as we discuss erectile dysfunction. So, yeah, we're doing the series on men's health and taking ownership for your health and your body. And the topic I suggested yesterday was talking a little bit about the standard American diet and what it does to the male body. And spoiler alert, nothing good. And the Dan's suggestion was maybe covering erectile dysfunction. So I set out to find some good videos on both topics, and the best video I found by far was on erectile dysfunction by a doctor out at UCLA. And I thought, okay, she gets into all the detail on this in a way that I think it can result in us passing along some good information. So despite the discomfort that men in general and me specifically has with this topic, I'm going to do my best to be comfortable discussing it in an adult way without too much blushing and too much giggling. So let's jump in. All right. Erectile dysfunction is defined as the inability to attain or maintain a penile erection that is sufficient for satisfactory sexual performance, which I suppose there is a little bit of, satisfactory can be in the eye of the beholder. But when she goes a little bit, and sorry, let me say that we will share the link to the video so you can watch the video and you can sort of take in just the facts if you want to, as well as hear our commentary on it. But she defines dysfunction as not, occasionally it doesn't go. Go ahead.
One second. I'm just going to say when you say she, so it's from Caroline Wallner from UCLA Health. So I just want to make sure everybody knew that it was
thank you.
A doctor. She basically, she talks about different therapies and surgical treatments and helps define. And really, it's like a kind of a base 101 about erectile dysfunction. So,
right. And so in part of the definition, erectile dysfunction is not, occasionally you have a little bit too much to drink and things don't go the way you hoped they would. Yep. It happens with enough frequency that it's having a negative impact on either your own emotional state or the state of your relationship. So, this is not just a one-off of, hey, something didn't go right. This is a recurring problem that you feel a need that requires intervention because you're concerned with, the consequences and the impact that it's having on your life. So, one of the first things she says is the older that you get, the more likely it is to occur. And she has a nice little line graph that says the older that you get, the more likely this is to occur. And Dan, you're welcome to go into as much or as little detail on your personal experience as you would like. I will say I have not experienced erectile dysfunction myself yet, knock on wood. But part of that could be
really, Charles, knock on
that
wood.
Was
really
that was
wow.
not. I promise that was not intentional, and now I feel guilty. Thanks for pointing it out. I'm going to cut that out.
Leave it. It's funny.
I'm kidding.
It's funny. Come on, I know.
I'm kidding.
You didn't even when you're. You make it a lot more obvious when it's an obvious joke. Trust me. Yeah. No.
How dare you say that?
I needed to. My
humor is subtle.
Yes.
No, it's not. So that was not intentional. I pinky swear. This has not been something that I have had to deal with, and going through, the causes and the treatments and stuff. It's, some of the treatments, it definitely gave me pause. Like, man, that would be a difficult thing to have to go through. So some of these interventions, which I get why people are willing to do pretty big things when they need to, because it is an important part of your life. And, you could definitely feel like, okay, I'm willing to go through quite a bit of extreme intervention to have this part of my life back. I get it, but I do feel a lot of empathy and compassion for guys that do have to go through some of what feels to me like some pretty big interventions to get this straightened out.
Yeah. I mean, I was not very familiar with all of the treatments until this video, and some of them sounds pretty invasive, such as basically a self-injection into the penis, as well as penile implants. And I'd heard of penile implants, but I didn't know that they were doing injections or suppositories that go into the tip of your penis. And so, on the one hand, it sounds like, it could be a very difficult and uncomfortable and inconvenient type of experience. But at the same time, it sounds like there's a lot more options out there there's definitely more options out there than I was aware of. So I'm in a weird way, I'm kind of encouraged that, hey, there are so many different options. You can really kind of find one that you're comfortable with.
My first impulse when I heard about some of them, like the implant and the urethral suppository, as guys, when our genitals are discussed in a way that, emphasizes any kind of a painful experience, our first impulse is to be like, geez, I don't like that. And my first impulse was, I would rather just not have erections and have to go through some of that. But that's a very short-sighted reaction, I think, on my part, because, I'm not in that position where I have to decide either I don't get to have a sex life or I have to do one of these things.
Yeah.
And so, it's hard for me to completely put myself in those shoes to say, okay, if my only option of having a healthy sex life with my partner was to do one of these more invasive things, I don't know what I would do. And I think it's a little short-sighted, to say, oh, I would never do that. I would never consider that. It's like, no, I mean, having a healthy sex life is a big part of your life. And just to say, I'm not going to do those things, that, I can't legitimately say, oh, if I was in that position, here's what I would do, or here's how I would handle it. Cause you really don't know until you have to know. Right. And so, let's talk a little bit about, so we've kind of defined, erectile dysfunction, and the causes, fall into a few different categories. Psychosocial, which means you're having an issue with your relationship where, it just doesn't, emotionally and mentally, you can't get to the place you need to be able to perform sexually, which, again, I can imagine that would be very difficult to experience and difficult to go through. Performance anxiety, meaning, things haven't gone the right way before. And so now you're kind of in your head, so to speak, and you don't know, you can't get to the place you need to for that reason. And then there's also external, reasons for stress or anxiety, or, you've got a psychiatric issue that doesn't let you get there either. Which, again, I have nothing but compassion for people that are experiencing those things. There's neurologic issues there, meaning, things like Parkinson's, strokes, dementia. There's issues with your actual blood flow, where either you don't get enough flow to that area, or when you do get blood flow to that area, it doesn't stay where it's supposed to stay. So it doesn't give you an erection that, is suitable for sexual activity. And then they talk about she talks about the drugs that can often lead to these performance issues as well. The top one she mentioned was stuff related to blood pressure. So if that's got to be a bit of a draining and rough situation, where it's like, okay, first I've got blood pressure problems, hypertension and stuff that I've got to deal with that. But then not only do I have to deal with that, I have to deal with the side effect of not being able to get an erection because of my blood pressure. So that's kind of a 1-2 punch of, this is, you thought the blood pressure stuff was bad. Now we're going to make it worse by the way that you manage it is going to negatively impact your sex life. That can't be fun.
Right. And, one of the big contributors to high blood pressure is stress. And so, not being able to, have sex the way you're used to, as well as to, potentially maybe not get that same type of, release, and, which is definitely helpful for stress reduction, and lots of doctors have actually, somewhat, tongue in cheek kind of prescribed for people who stressed out, like, exercise, chocolate, and some little wine and sex, and,
right.
Kind of bring down the stress a little bit. And so now I feel like it could potentially be, basically almost like a self-perpetuating cycle where, you're adding to the stress, you're adding your high blood pressure, you're taking more medicine, and that's where, I'm not a fan unless you really need that, like, of medicine, the high blood pressure medicine. Why is it, is it because of your weight? Are you overweight? Is that why you have high blood pressure? Is it what you're eating? Is that causing, some high blood pressure, too many carbohydrates? So that's the thing. Take a look and see, is there, there are other options. So, dropping weight. And she even talks about at the end of the series here is, moderate your alcohol and cigarette smoking, try to lose some weight. And also practice some sort of, stress reduction techniques, meditation, yoga, stretching, going for walks, things like that. And I would say, try to use those things first to bring your blood pressure down. And again, those are, long-term, slower strategies. It's not medicine that's going to, bring it down immediately, but I would rather opt for that than have to take medicine after medicine after medicine because, all right, well, now, I have to take, ED medicine because my blood pressure is too high. And now,
right.
The ED medicine can cause heartburn. And, I've tried, fortunately I don't struggle with erectile dysfunction, but, I've tried, Viagra and Cialis just to see, what happens and how it works and stuff like that. And
right.
I don't like it because it gives me heartburn. So really bad heartburn. And so much to where it's like, it happens almost immediately. So, it's in the middle of sex is not where I want my heartburn to happen. So, okay, exactly. now I'm going to take, medicine for the heartburn, right? So I'm going to take an antacid or whatever. And that, can interfere with other types of medicine, because you're taking that calcium. So, that's where I feel like we kind of get going down a rabbit hole where we're just chasing one drug after another to change, for the side effects instead of addressing the root cause of these issues.
Sure.
And that's our dietary and our lifestyle changes, again, those aren't it's easier to pop a pill than it is to make those changes for sure. I get it.
Right. And sometimes, sometimes you can do, you can make the lifestyle changes that you're able to make and it's still not enough and you're going to have to get on some medications anyway. I mean, it certainly happens that way too, but when it does come to stuff like, like my sleep apnea pretty much went away when I lost some weight. And so that was, and the same thing with, my bad cholesterol level, my triglycerides. I was prescribed a statin. I never ended up taking it the way that I was supposed to. And my doctor kept testing me and kept telling me, okay, we need to get this down. We need to get this down. But then it was finally when my why was strong enough to, let go of some carbs and get my 10,000 steps every day. And I dropped a bunch of weight. And then, my triglyceride issue just kind of fixed itself. Isn't that crazy? And then so did my sleep apnea. And so, I would say, when possible to, figure out that you need to make some lifestyle changes that could solve some of your problems, and by all means do that. But know that, sometimes you're just not going to be able to solve everything with lifestyle changes. You are going to have to get on medication. And when you do, there's, like we said in our last episode, there's no free lunch in nature. If you take a medicine that's going to fix one thing, there's a chance that it's going to then create some other problems. And, one of the other drugs that frequently will have an impact on this problem is medication for depression or antipsychotics or anxiety. They also will negatively impact your sex life. And then again, it becomes a positive feedback loop of, okay, I'm taking this medicine for my mental health issues, and then that's making my sex life bad, which is contributing to my mental health issues. And it can be rough. So, sometimes there are reasons to wonder and ask your doctor and talk about alternative therapies, because maybe you can find a way to address the root cause without having to get on a medication that, is going to lead to these unpleasant side effects. But again, that's a conversation to have with your doctor and say, what can I do here? And, all right. So some other causes for ED, traumatic, which means, an injury basically that has affected you, which those sounded rough. And, some surgeries can have a negative impact, including, if you have an issue with your prostate and you have to have it removed, that can lead to ED issues. And then endocrine issues, which I was going to say before, for pretty much since I hit 40, I've been on testosterone replacement therapy. So there's a good chance that, maybe just the hands of Father Time would have decided to hand me an issue with erectile dysfunction that I never got and I never knew about because I've been on, testosterone replacement therapy, which low testosterone hypogonadism is definitely a potential cause. As we get older as men, our body stops producing as much testosterone. And when you factor in environmental factors that have lowered testosterone across the board for all guys, at least in the West, that becomes a factor too. And so I could have been dodging those issues just because I'm on TRT, which, let me say one thing about ED in general. I mean, the fact that I haven't experienced it, I take no pride in that. And similarly, if you have experienced it, you should take no shame in that. When something happens to you that's out of your control, as humans, it's very easy for us to say, okay, that should be a source of shame because I'm not what I think I'm supposed to be because of this thing that's happening to me.
Yeah.
And again, I would say when you think about it for 2 seconds, it does not make sense to take pride in something that happened to you that you didn't cause. And it does not make sense to feel shame about something that happened to you that you didn't cause. The only thing we can say is that when challenges face you in life, whether that is, you've been traumatized, you've been abused, you've had an illness come on you unexpectedly, it's not logical to feel shame as a result of those things. It's not your fault that they happened, but it is your responsibility to deal with it in a healthy way, both mentally and physically. So even though it's not your fault that it happened to you, even if it is a result of a lifestyle choice that you could have done better on in the past, it's still, you don't deserve to feel shame because of that. And it is your responsibility to deal with it in a healthy way.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. And one of the little mottos that BJ Fogg talks about in his book for Tiny Habits is, I change best by feeling good, not by feeling bad.
Right.
And so if you are looking to make a change and change things up and prove anything, shame is going to push you in the opposite direction. It is not there. People sometimes, are under the impression, well, if I need to feel that pressure, I need to feel that shame, I need to be angry in order to make that change and be motivated to make that change. And they've done a number of studies, and it actually doesn't pan out scientifically that you are able to make those changes, sustain those changes, when you feel bad. And so to me, when you feel that shame, you're shooting yourself in the foot, and just again, we all have to realize we're human. We're not perfect. We make mistakes. We live life, we experience. And then, what do you do with that from that point forward? Right. And what would you say to a friend? I mean, I keep reminding myself that's, I try not to have higher standards for myself than I would a friend. And, if a friend was going through this, how would I talk to them? Let me try to talk to myself that way.
Exactly.
Try to keep moving forward, try to make those little changes and feel good about them and just, be, have excitement and feel good that you're even thinking about it, right? That you're even aware of it. Not even if you haven't even made any changes, but just the fact that you are aware that there is an issue right there. That's where it all starts from. So even having that level of awareness, I feel, is a win. Pat yourself on the back for that and then go from there.
Yeah. And, this is another topic that I think we should be able to feel comfortable discussing with our male friends. And yeah, penises and erectile dysfunction and just your health in general.
So it's not about being a penis. It's okay. Our penis.
Yeah.
Okay. All right,
if you bring up to your friend that you're having, hey, things didn't go the way I wanted them to with my partner the other night, and it's given me some stress. And their reaction is to give you anything that feels remotely like, well, that's never happened to me, and so I'm better than you. Then find yourself a new friend.
Yeah, that's not realistic. I mean, because everybody has had, no. I mean, I really think that's unrealistic to think that nobody's had issues, in the bedroom ever with their partner. Come on,
right?
That's. It's like saying you eat perfect all the time,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There's no such thing as perfect. And so.
Yeah. If somebody, then you've got a friend who's more concerned with, defending their reputation and their, the false version of themselves that they like to sell to people. Yeah.
They're not interested in helping you in that moment.
Or connecting or deepening your relationship. So I would say, you should feel comfortable. You should have a friend group and a doctor for that matter that you're comfortable bringing up this stuff to, because if you don't, then, what are they for? I mean, if your friend group is so shallow that all you can do with them is watch a sporting event and get drunk, then you're missing out on a deeper life that you could be experiencing. And there are definitely guys out there that are capable of it and are looking for that. So I would say, discussing stuff like this with your friends should not be a big deal. And I mean, it's going to feel like a big deal the first time, but being able to have these deep conversations on an ongoing basis with your friends, that feels like the minimum you should expect from from your best friend or your best friends, you know? So I would say,
and the way I like to approach it when I'm feeling a little bit vulnerable about something that I feel like I should know about or be, have some more knowledge or experience about where I should have done something better, I go with the approach of, hey, can you give me a little advice? I was just wondering, you seem to be, I have this impression that you've got your act together in this one area. And, and speaking of which, I have to ask you about some external hard drives later. Anyway, so, cause mine just died, the one we were working on, by the way. So, I've been working in IT for years and years and years, but I know Charles is really, well-versed in hardware and stuff like that. I'm not. So even in that weird, kind of analogy, it's just my approach is, hey, can I get some advice? And you don't have to take it, but I feel like that kind of, I think it's an easy way to ease into it with somebody and you be vulnerable and not be as uncomfortable as you could be. Right.
Absolutely. I mean, back to what you were saying a minute ago about motivation and stuff. I remember hearing Brene Brown, who probably knows more about shame than almost anybody else. She researches it, talks about it. And, she was saying, even when it comes to, people that are guilty of committing violent crimes and stuff like that, she has said before, if I thought shame would work, I would say, by all means, let's use shame. Let's try to turn people around. Let's try to make them stop, undesirable behavior by using shame. But she's like, it just doesn't work. And so, yeah, there's no real sense where using your shame is going to lead to long-term positive change. It just, in the short term, it might make you stop doing the thing that you feel ashamed of, but it's just going to cause you to spiral, and it's going to lead to more of that negative behavior in the long run where, being around people that can, positively encourage you and also positively encouraging yourself and telling yourself you're worth making positive change for is a huge part of this. So that's when, toward the end of the video, like she said, she references things like quitting smoking, dropping some weight, getting some regular exercise. If you have an alcohol or drug dependency issue, then address that. Work through your relationship issues. So there are some things you can do to make this problem better and more tolerable. And then, the last thing is go to your doctor and get an evaluation, because there are often, the reason that men find out they have an underlying health issue is because they go to their doctor about ED and find out that, there's something else going on with, my heart, my endocrine system, whatever, that is leading to this problem. So all I have to do is clean up this underlying issue with lifestyle changes, medication, maybe surgery, whatever it is. And then I get to have erections again that are, suitable for my sex life. And so it's quite possible you could let this be the issue that gets you into the door of the doctor's office, and you fix two things, kill two birds with one stone.
Yeah. One of the things that kind of something that surprised me, and I'd always kind of heard of this as like an urban legend, but excessive bike riding
saw that too. That was wild.
Damage. Yeah. And can cause erectile dysfunction. And, I didn't realize that. And so she called it the chronic. So what defines chronic? I don't know. All I know is every time I've been on a traditional bike without a big fat cushy seat, it does hurt. I am uncomfortable. And I mean, it's mostly, my butt a little bit, from those narrow seats, but I never realized that ultimately that could cause erectile dysfunction. So, you could be, living a really healthy lifestyle and exercising your exercise of choices, riding a bike. Yeah, that could actually cause some damage. And so, something to think about.
Yeah, it does make sense that I can say that it puts pressure on the perineum, I guess is the technical term. I'm not sure. Do men and women both have? I think men and women both have those. I think
they do
for both.
I think so.
Also, and I just Googled it, so if you don't know where I'm talking about, other terms other slang terms that you might be more familiar with are taint, grundle, and gooch.
Grundle and gooch are new ones to me. So interesting.
Unfortunately, because
I just learned something today. I'll journal later.
I lead a less sophisticated life than you. I was familiar with all three. So, I could see that, the sort of athletic, sporty bicycle seats that are very narrow and stuff that, it does put pressure on that area. So of course that could lead to, a problem with, I think it would be neuropathy, I think is what she said. It cuts off, a little bit of the nerve function to that area. And one of the things she said in the video was the male, arousal and arousal response is a very complicated thing. There is a lot involved there. There are nerves, there's blood supply, there's, your brain, and there's hormones. There's a lot that goes in to your body being able to perform sexually. And so all it takes is disrupting that function in one area, and things just won't work the way that they're supposed to work. And, that's why, gosh, it's so important to, like we've talked about in multiple episodes with Richard, with Dr. Muzzy, you got to have a doctor and a relationship with your doctor that you are comfortable leaning on when things aren't working the way that they're supposed to. Because in so many cases, all it takes is a conversation and a small lifestyle tweak, or, a very small change in medication or something. You can fix a problem that is really causing you a lot of heartache just by talking to your doctor and say, hey, I'm going through this. Can we talk about some ideas to make this problem go away? And most doctors, I mean, look, Dan, if we're able to talk about your hard drive issue and I'm able to suggest a fix that clears it up for you, that is part of why I chose the career that I chose, and why it feels good to say, hey, I've got some knowledge based on a previous problem I fixed. I'll tell you to do this thing. It'll fix it, and we'll both feel good because we'll both, you'll have a resolution, and I'll have given you some advice that feels valuable. And that's, generally speaking, that's why doctors get into the field that they're in too, so that they can talk to their patients and suggest, treatments and interventions that make problems go away, and then they get to feel awesome. So
that's a big thing that I, didn't realize until recently as well, was the value that when you ask someone a favor, ask someone advice, or ask them a question, that they get. It's a benefit to them. You are not necessarily bothering them. It is more often than not, you are actually endearing yourself to them, because they're like, oh, wow, you value, my knowledge, but also two, they feel valued by being able to provide that, provide that information to you, and they feel good about that, and, so a lot of times, when people give you, and I thought about this when a lot of times when people give you compliments, and I was really bad at accepting compliments, and I would kind of cut people off who started to say some nice things about me because it made me uncomfortable. I just never, once I realized, hey, listen, I'm actually doing them a disservice. I'm actually kind of being rude by saying, no, I'm not that great, or, that doesn't look that good on me, and I thought about that. And I'm like, one, you're kind of deriving, you're taking some pleasure and connection from them. And two, you're also, in a weird way, you are also saying that your opinion isn't
right.
You don't respect their opinion, and you don't think there's value to their opinion. And, so, and when I thought about it that way, I'm like, oh, hey, wow, I'm a jerk for not accepting compliments,
I mean, accepting compliments and accepting apologies are something that does not come natural to a lot of us. Where, I mean, how many times has somebody said, that they were sorry about something, and you immediately go to, oh, no, it's okay, or don't worry about it, instead of, it can take a little bit more strength and vulnerability to say, thank you for your apology. That means a lot to me, because then you're admitting that you were hurt by them, and you're admitting that their apology made the situation better.
I never thought about that, but I like that. There is a difference. There is a difference with that response.
Absolutely.
Sure. Yeah. I never thought about that. I like that.
Yeah. Try to, if somebody says, I'm sorry about something, it's also a good way to know how sorry they are about something too, to say, thank you for your apology, or I appreciate your apology, because if they didn't really mean that they were sorry, when they hear that, sometimes they'll walk it back. I'm sure I've done it myself, where, oh, thank you for your apology, I appreciate your apology, or something like that. And then you say, yeah, because I just thought that you would want to know blah, blah, blah. And so that if somebody is not comfortable with acknowledging that they offered you an apology, and again, that book I read by Dr. Harriet Lerner, Why Won't You Apologize, is it taught me a lot about giving and receiving apologies, and I recommend it. It's a good book. So, accepting compliments. You're right. It does. When you don't accept a compliment, it tells somebody that their opinion of you doesn't really matter to you that much.
Yeah. One of the things that was she talked about some of the devices and some of the treatments. I didn't realize a penis pump was an actual treatment for erectile dysfunction. And apparently it sucks all the air out, and then they kind of, I guess, put a ring at the bottom of the penis to not let the blood out. And that's a legitimate treatment. And I guess where I had seen it is advertisements to actually make to make your penis actually larger. But I never, and so I really thought it was just a joke. It really didn't do much, but I had no idea. So that was interesting for me, for sure.
Yeah, I never had really thought of it as a essentially medical device. I thought of it as sort of a gag and a likely not viable treatment to try to increase the size of your penis. From, again, the first Austin Powers movie made a reference to it that was very funny, and that was pretty much that was as deep as I've dove on the issue. And but yeah, I was surprised to know that it really does have a medical use, and certainly less invasive than some of the other, the implant or the suppository and things like that. So that it's good to know that there is a use for this thing that can actually work. And I'm sure there are guys out there getting relief from that, and it's doing the job for them. And I'm glad that those less invasive options are out there for people.
Yeah, I mean, and some of the other treatments you mentioned was like the suppository inside the tip of the penis and the injection. And from looking at this, it looks like those are like single use. Like you get an injection for one, for one erection, and that seems to me like, wow. I'd be curious to dig into the use case for that. Like, at what point do you need to do that? Because that sounds not pleasant to me. Needles around my genitals are not something that I have ever experienced nor want to.
Yeah, but I mean, I'll be honest. I delayed getting my testosterone levels checked and getting on TRT because I was off put by the idea of even just injecting myself in my quads or in my glutes. Like, I was like, I'm not going to bother getting my testosterone levels checked, because if they say that I need it, I'm not going to do, I'm not going to be able to do it anyway, because that just, I can't do it.
Yeah.
But then, a few years later, it's like not a big deal at all. And, on most times that I have the injection, I don't even feel it. So, maybe it's a thing you can develop you can get used to it and develop a tolerance for. I don't know.
Yeah. Absolutely. No,
but I think we both share that sort of initial reaction of
right, and that's where I would be like looking for all their alternatives,
right.
But if there aren't any, I'm open to sitting and listening, right? And okay, tell me about it. Maybe it's not as bad. Maybe it isn't just for one. Maybe it's for the day. Who knows, right?
Right.
So,
again, the stakes are pretty high. I mean, if it is, the difference between a healthy sex life with a partner you love very much or not, then, it's hard to say what I would be open to if I was put in that position. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I hope we covered this in a way that people found helpful. Any other topics from the video that we didn't get into, Dan?
The only other one was, the penile implants you talked about. Apparently one is malleable, which is news to me. That was interesting. So you can basically shape it kind of like pipe cleaners, as was the analogy she used. Actually,
yeah. The thing I thought about when she talked about that was like the gooseneck cell phone holder I have mounted in my car.
Yes. Yeah.
Or essentially you have something like that down there that, it sounds rough, but it's out there working for somebody, and I'm thankful that people have options and people have figured out a way to make stuff like that work for them.
Right. Yeah. And that's what I, that's the one thing I really appreciated as well is, regardless of what you're going through, it seems to be something out there for you. And I know what we talked about, everything is kind of linked together. So in terms of, your mental health and feeling like you're a man and able to perform, I think it's really integrated into our existence. And,
right.
to know that there's a lot of treatments out there, is definitely a good thing. And, as I mentioned is, do as much as you can, the natural route, in terms of cleaning up your diet and exercise and just your little habits here and there. It's amazing what a difference it can make. It's amazing how your body can heal itself, and it can heal itself through proper food and a little bit of exercise. And it gets a lot easier, along the way. Starting, it's always the biggest challenge. You need a little bit of motivation, but once you see a little progress, and then, once you get to where you want to be, you don't need to necessarily put in as much work and effort. So
no doubt. It takes less energy to keep the vehicle moving than it does to keep it started, from a dead stop. So, and again, it all starts with a conversation with your doctor. And I promise you're not the first person that they've had these conversations with. And it's a way bigger deal to you than it is to them. And, they're not going to snicker or giggle. That's
right.
Again, because this is the first time you and I have talked about this in this detail and in this scenario, and it does feel a little weird. But doctors, they're not like that. They're not like us. So,
right.
If you need to start the conversation by talking to us, by all means, do that, and we'll do our best. But I promise your doctor can handle this conversation way better than we can.
For sure. Yeah, we're just here to kind of present the options to you and just let you know what we found, and share the really good video that Charles found on YouTube that kind of gives you a little bit more of a deep dive into the medical side of the treatments and some of the side effects and some things to think about. And if nothing else, it'll get you comfortable enough to probably have a conversation with your doctor. So definitely check out the video in the show notes later today.
All right, awesome. Thanks, Dan. We will see you guys next time, and I think we will try to find a good article or YouTube video that talks a little bit about the standard American diet and what kind of food most of us are out there eating on a regular basis, and how suboptimal it is and what it's doing to us.
Yeah. A little preview. I just I heard a little clip on the fact that the processed food actually affects the way we metabolize other food. And so it's not just the food itself that is bad for you, but what it's doing to the body in terms of its ability to metabolize other food properly, cause weight gain and cravings and things like that. So, there's a lot to be said for these processed foods. So we'll get into that.
Yeah. I look forward to it. I'm in our Patreon. We just did an episode about some of the positive changes I'm looking to make with my diet and exercise. And diet is such a big part. If you want to change the health and aesthetics of your body, most of that work that you have to do is in the kitchen, and some of it's at the gym, but most of it's in the kitchen. And 100%. So we'll talk about diets in next week's episode. All right, cool. Thanks, Dan. I will leave you for now, and we'll chat again soon.
Awesome. Talk to you soon.
Yep. Bye.